What's up, everyone? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, welcome to part one of a two-part series. We're going to be focusing on modules in today's video, but in the very next video, we're going to be focusing on shell companions. Keep in mind that these two things coincide with each other and they go hand in hand with allowing you to be able to create some extremely diverse builds as well as being able to progress efficiently throughout the game. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the place where you're able to obtain these modules, the threshold. So getting right into it, you have three different bosses, the Terramatan, you have Doki Doki, and you have Aurora. These all are going to have different set matrix bonuses that will be dropped, different gear pieces, etc. But we're going to be focusing on the base idea of how these gear pieces work, how you can build up your set bonus effects, and ultimately what stats you can get. We're going to start out with Terramatan, and we're going to go all the way back to basic one. Now, what's really important to note here is that when you're taking a look at the gear drops, the possible drops, the reward, right? That's what we always are looking for when we're farming these types of dungeons. These are going to have different qualities, essentially, the higher up you go. And the quality only gets better as you get into, you know, say hard, going into nightmare, into inferno. The quality only gets better. But it's not just the quality of the gear that gets better, but also the matrix set bonus quantity changes. And we're going to talk about that. Essentially, what matrices are, the matrix modules, they have different set effects. So for example, we have the onslaught, which is going to be your attack set. Wellspring, for example, that's going to be your HP set, right? And these are just some of the base sets that you start out with, and they will diversify and become way more vast, and more sets will open up as you push more content. But when you're actually looking at this, it will show you a couple of different things. You'll see there will be a number 4, 8, and 12, because there are different numbers or quantities of matrices that you can have that will start to unlock and fulfill different matrix bonuses. If you have onslaught with 4 symbols, you will have an attack bonus of 10%. If you have it at 8, you get 25, and then if you have it at 12, you'll get 45. But how exactly are you able to build up those matrix bonus? Because you might notice here, this piece of gear only is showing 1 symbol. As you go up, you'll notice that the gear will start to show more than 1 symbol. And the reason that is so that it makes it easier for you to be able to fulfill these matrix set bonuses. Keep in mind, and this is just a side note, that your modules are one of the components as well as your shell companions. But keep in mind, we want these things separated so that you'll be able to dissect and digest these two totally intricate ideas so that you'll be able to build things efficiently and then work them together. This is just one part of the equation. When we're talking about, let's actually go and look at a character, right? I want to actually paint the picture visually on a character so you can get a better idea. So let's actually go to one of my favorite characters, Kloros, and let's go to his modules. What you'll notice here is we already have a couple of different modules set for the onslaught set. We have that 4 set bonus here that's being fulfilled. We have that extra 10% that we're getting, right? And it will tell you on the gear itself when you have something active. So it's never a question. You'll never make a mistake with, you know, feeling like, is it, you know, active? No, it will tell you if it's active, right? So that's the number one thing that I love that they do within this game. On top of that, okay, you might notice here that we have different qualities. And I want to talk about these qualities really quick. These are your rarities. Your rarities are going to be from as such: basic, fine, rare, unique, epic, ultimate, and legendary. These things are going to matter quite a bit because when you're talking about the base values that you're able to get, they will skyrocket as you get better rarity pieces. Some of these rarities will still have only 1 matrix symbol, right? Like for example, why does this piece that is supposed to be a higher rarity have less symbols than this one? Well, that's because technically as you scale higher, you can technically do a dungeon that will give you a, say, epic piece like this that will drop at, you know, say 2 matrix symbols, but you could have done one that's right below it and got the highest drop value, but it only has 1 symbol accessible. So you will have to pay attention to the dungeon because some of them will have like gold with 1 matrix symbol, but then in the very next one, it'll be gold with 2 matrix symbols, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. When we're talking about what values you can actually get from the left side, I want to start there. The values you can get here as far as your main attributes, this is that first line. It's going to be in the very first slot here for your mask, it's going to be flat attack. In the second slot here, this is going to be for your transistor. This is going to be your HP flat. Then when you're looking at the wrist wheel, this is going to give you defense flat. So no matter what you're aiming for on this left side, it will always be flat attack, flat HP, flat defense. The right side is actually going to consist of your percentage base bonuses. Do note that you can technically still get flat stats. I mean, when you first start the game, you're going to probably notice like, wait, why do I have pieces that have flat attributes on this side? Well, it's because it's early. You're not going to get the best of pieces in the very beginning, but ultimately that's what you're working towards, is making your account better so you can get the better bonuses. Now, what attributes can you actually roll on this side? You can roll HP bonus, attack bonus, defense bonus, crit rate percent, effect accuracy percent, crit damage percent, and effect rest percent, as well as still being able to attain the flat HP, the attack that's flat, and as well as defense flat. Now, I will say this too, there are going to be some special situations where you might still use a flat piece. I'm never going to say that you just won't ever use it, because let's say, for example, you get a god speed roll and a unit only really needs speed. That might be a reason, right? So just kind of thinking about that is food for thought. But that's ultimately what you're going to be aiming for, primarily with most characters, are those percentage-based stats, because that's going to be scaling off of your flat values from the base stats that the character has from leveling them, and then the base stat values that you're going to be getting from the gear pieces. We also want to touch on the fact that there is the rarity stat value scaling. For example, if we're taking a look at this piece right here, this is maxed out at level 15. I would never do this on this piece, by the way. This is a terrible idea. Never do this. It has a plus of 178 for attack, okay? Now, let's actually find another piece from the onslaught here. Let's confirm this filter, and let's do a comparison. Now, you'll notice that this is a much higher. This is, I think, going into legendary. This is a much higher valued piece. But when you look at the base stat comparison, this piece rolls much higher on the flat attack. It's at 330. So this is an additional 152 more flat attack that you're going to be getting on this piece, for example. You might notice that there are, like, for example, this attack bonus is gold. Why is that? Well, when this piece first started rolling, the only substat that you were able to see was this crit rate. The other thing is too, is that not only are the crit rate rolls low, but when you're also talking about how many times you can roll into a specific stat, it's lower when the substats are locked, right? So if there's only one substat being shown, that means that as you hit those pivotal points of leveling that piece, it's going to unlock the second, unlock the third, unlock the fourth, and then you might have an additional time to roll into the respective stats. But if all the stats are being shown, you'll be able to roll potentially much higher substat values and get yourself some pretty nice looking substat rolls, like this attack bonus set here, right? Or attack bonus stat here, right? You have the matrix symbols. The better that the piece gets, you're going to start noticing that the symbols will start to increase. And this is going to make it much easier for you to fulfill your matrix effects. Now, I want you guys to actually take a look at a character that I've actually built completely so you can get a better idea of just how you might want to gear your characters. When we're talking about the matrix effects activated, I have a 8 set bonus here with the harvest. I have momentum at a 12 bonus set, and I have swift raid at 6. So at most, typically when you're building out a character, this is also now including the shell, which again, we're going to focus on that in another video. I promise. But just to kind of give you that visual, when you're looking at your sets, you're ultimately trying to get that finalized set bonus, but there might be some cases where you're not able to reach that, right? Like when you're first starting out, you're not going to be able to get this, right? This is just to kind of show you what you're working towards, but ultimately you're going to be satisfying the needs of maybe, say, not the, the 12, but maybe the 6, and that's perfectly okay. You'll still be getting 12% more crit rate, and that's great, right? That still helps out with your character and what they might be trying to do, or what you're trying to get them to do. And so ultimately what's going to happen is that as you're able to fulfill these set bonuses, your characters are going to further evolve even more. And it actually will emphasize less stress on having to have each slot, for example, with earlier matrix quantities where you're trying to fulfill those set bonuses with not nearly as many symbols. And it just becomes much easier for you to do that as you push through and later into the game. Now, again, there are a lot of other things that go into gear. We are going to have videos for modules that focus a little bit more on the set bonuses that you probably want to aim for, etc. I will say the last tidbit that I want to give you guys is that it's really important to note, and this is one thing I don't want to leave out in this video, that it's really important to note that you cannot roll speed as a main attribute on modules. That is so important. This might be very different than a lot of other games where you typically are able to, but you cannot roll that on modules. So if you were wondering, asking where's speed at, it can be rolled as a sub attribute, but it cannot be rolled as a main attribute. Now, in the next video, we'll be getting into shell companions, and we'll talk a little bit more about where you can get some of those speed attributes that's going to be helping you out with not only making your character faster, but even maybe some of the stat values that's going to give you more damage. I hope that this video was able to help you guys out a ton with just kind of grasping and getting a better understanding of how the matrix set bonuses work. If you guys have any additional questions, don't feel afraid to leave them down below in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.